welcome back. Here we have it. Suffolk Corporation double dipper. So what's all the fuss about? This particular machine, one I picked up, I've had it for quite some time, but as a lot of projects they get pushed to one side and not done. But I've got to the point I'd like to get to the bottom of it. So what's interesting about this? This is a Suffolk Corporation, early corporation, call it a Mark I if you like, but this is a Suffolk Corporation. So what's interesting about it is if, just have a look here, so I'm going to get my camera lady to come in and have a closer look. So what we've got here, you can see there's two dipsticks. So we've got one up here on the engine, and we've got one down there. Now, normally it is one or the other. The early engines had the little dipstick, which is a split pin like this down here, and the later engines, let me just go back over here, had the dipstick up there with no dipstick down there. So we'll go back to this one and let's talk about it. So this machine, it's got obviously the 75cc engine. Everything looks right on it. So everything apart from this engine block with this extra dipstick. So the engine cowling's right, early fuel tank. If we go back round and have a look at the recoil start, we've got a nice early recoil start with the Suffolk on there as well. And then we go back round to the carburettor and exhaust. We've got the nice early exhaust and the early carburettor with the banjo feed, round metal air filter, and again we've got the cooling guard round the top of the engine, which is just a bit of tin. So everything's looking right, apart from obviously this engine block. So what I think's happened, and it was probably done a long time ago, I think somebody has, for whatever reason, could have been piston rings, who knows, somebody swapped this, but everything else is right. So yes, that's what I think. I think it's been like that for a long time. I've never seen this before, so I'm convinced it's not right. It's been changed, that part. And when we look at the engine numbers there, these engine numbers are quite high. I think we've got 6 numbers on there. A lot of the early machines like this would have been 5, so I'm fairly sure that has been replaced. What's interesting, well, I haven't checked it yet, I wonder if both dipsticks give the same reading. So let's just have a look. There might not even be any oil in it at all. So let's just have a look. So that's the early one. Goodness me, it's not, there's a tiny bit on there. Let's just see what that's doing. Again, there's nothing on there, so it's quite possible obviously both work. So I think what I'm going to do, everything else is right. I've got an engine block for it, and I'm going to take the engine off, and we're going to put everything else back onto the early block, and I think it will make a nice mower. Everything else is right. Don't think it's done a lot of work. As you can see, there's a bit of tread left on the tyres, and even if we tip it back a bit, we can have a look. Let's go back a little. Even the cutting cylinder's got plenty of meat on it, look. So I don't think it's done a lot of work. So definitely the engine's a bit odd. So what we've got, we're going to go back over here to my first corporation I picked up, and as you can see, you've got the right type of engine on there. Split pin dipstick and nothing there. You can see there the same mower. So what I've got here is I've got my second-hand block. Well, I've got 2 blocks. This is a little bit like Johnny Prescott with his Jaguars. He has 2 Jaguars, I've got 2 early blocks. Now, after looking into this a bit, to me it's a bit interesting. Now, these early Suffolk engines, it seems to be that the very early ones were actually painted black, they sat in black. And when you look at this early one here, very early one, we've got quite a fairly low number on that engine block. It's a, I think it's a 5 number engine number on that one. And then looking at brochures and other engines, they went on to the silver colour, which is this one. And again, this one's got 5 numbers on the engine block. And then the later Suffolks went over to this grey colour, like that. I think this is one of the last of these early without the dipstick, and then we go on to 6 numbers on the engine. So I think it's quite interesting, and I think if I transfer all of the parts from my corporation over there onto this engine, I'll have a machine that's right. Another little project for me. So it'll be obviously the piston, assuming it's okay. We'll put rings in it, the flywheel back plate, the engine cowling, recoil, exhaust, fuel tank, and obviously going to be using the sump. So I think I'm going to put that on there and then make that mower look right. So I think it will finish it off. And obviously it'll look just like this one here. So there we have it. We've got a little fleet of corporations here. 2 outer ones are the corporations, call them a Mark 1 if you like, and then we've got the Mark 2 there, which you've all seen. So quite exciting, I think. Anyway, on that note, I think I've done probably as much as I can do with the Suffolks. If there is anything that you would like to see on these Suffolks that I haven't covered, please let me know in the comments box. And I think next week we're going to do something different. I've got a couple of Shanks, fairly early hand mowers, be worth looking at. So what we'll do next week, have a change, we'll go on to some Shanks mowers. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the little Suffolk journey. And again, if there's anything you want to see on the Suffolks and I can put it on there, I will. Thanks for watching and see you next week.